Hi everyone, welcome back to this channel, and today I want us to learn how to build a task management system inside WordPress. So my name is Astariko. Let's jump straight in. Now you can see the user interface right now. It's pretty simple, straightforward. We have a tab, a button to assign tasks, and we have another button to create self tasks. So we also have a few options here: today tasks, tomorrow, all upcoming, overdue, and all tasks. Then down below we have tasks that have been assigned to other users. In our case here, it's staff members. So this is a data table because you can have a lot of assigned tasks, and navigating through them in an easier way, it's the best user experience you can provide. Okay, then we have two things also. That is a single page for personal tasks, and we also have a single page for assigned tasks. And for personal task is just simple, as you can see, with the basic or the details that we need. So you can add a subtask if you want to. You can also edit the task itself, and you can change the status here from overdue, in progress, whatever, to the status that you want. So let me just pull up a list of the things that we need to know before we get into serious details. So this is all that will facilitate our success of building this thing. Number one, we need JetEngine. 2, JetFormBuilder. 3, JetPopup. 4, we need a page builder. It can either be Elementor, Bricks, Gutenberg, or any other page builder that is compatible with JetEngine. Then we need a code snippet plugin. We also need a user role manager plugin or a membership plugin that can help you create more user roles. And the last option here, which is optional, is Nelks notifications. And what that does, it's whatever you see right now on your screen, the notifications that you see. So this is optional, and we will get into this towards the end of this tutorial. So back to our list, we also need to make sure we have the following set up correctly. That is, we need to enable JetEngine modules, custom content types or CCT, profile builder, dynamic visibility. Then we also need to enable these 3 external modules, that is dynamic tables builder, attachment file link by ID, and custom visibility conditions. Then moving forward, we also need to create 2 post types or CPT, that is tasks and individual or personal tasks. On top of it, we need to also create some CCTs or custom content types, and that is assigned task subtask, personal task subtask, and assigned task comments. We also need to create some taxonomies that we will use with our CPT, and they are actually similar. That is for tasks and personal tasks, task status, and priority. And all the terms that we need in the task status, that is pending, in progress, on hold, completed, cancelled, overdue. These can vary depending on your use case, so it's not cast on stone, or it's not mandatory for you to do it exactly as I have it done here. Then for priority, we have high, medium, low. Now, one thing that I want to make sure you understand is when you build your taxonomies, make sure to differentiate them between the tasks and personal tasks in terms of the slugs that you will give these two. We will be seeing that when we get to the actual thing. Then we also need to create a bunch of forms. They are 10. It's also optional based on the way you will approach this system, but for my case they are 10. That is a form to assign task sorry, a form to create new task for personal needs, then a form to update personal task, as well as a form to update assigned task. Then we also need two forms, one to add personal subtask and another one to add assigned task subtask. We also need 3 forms to edit, one subtasks, another one assigned task, and another one personal task. And lastly, we need another form to add comments to assigned task. We also need to build a lot of queries here using JetEngine Query Builder, and we have 17. So all of these, we will be going through them. They range from simple queries to somehow a little bit difficult but not complicated, that you will also see as we move along. Then we also have to create listings so that they can help us facilitate or display things like what you just saw at the beginning of this video. So we need, how many are they? I think there are 11 here. So task assigned to staff all the way to assigned tasks priority. So you'll also see these as we do them practically. Then we need dynamic tables, only one, and that is also what you saw at the beginning of this video here. That is the one that lists all the tasks assigned to staff. But you can feel free to create as many as you wish. You can actually substitute some of the listings with tables depending on how you want to go about it. Then we will have to build some templates as well. For single posts, we have 2, that is for personal tasks and assigned tasks. Then we also need single page templates, one for tasks, and that is what you just saw here. So the template that it's currently holding all these here. Then we will use dynamic visibility to decide who sees what, and that's why I said you need to enable that external module if you can remember. Then we will create some pop-ups. You could use Elementor pop-up, but it has some limitations and challenges, especially when it comes to dynamic content, and that's why I decided the best option here is to use JetPopup. So that is all that we need to do. It's quite a pretty long list, but we will get through one by one. So that said and done. Maybe just to add to what I have not mentioned, we will be creating some advanced stuff that is automating the tasks in different ways, so that users can be getting or receiving reminders for upcoming, if a task is actually starting today, if a task is expiring today, if a task is overdue. and if they are assigned tasks and the task is about to start on all those kind of stuff. So we will use custom code for this, and I think the code will be available on request at least, so that for those who will need to do that, you can have it. Anyway, we will talk about that when we get to it. Yep, so let's go to the back end and see how all this is put together. We will get back to the front end later. Now we will need to start with what? Let me see our list. So I don't think I need to take you through what we need. I've already mentioned them. I also don't think I need to show you the modules thing. As much as you have JetEngine installed, all you need to do is go to JetEngine and enable those modules that I have just mentioned. So dynamic visibility, profile builder, CCT, and the external modules, dynamic tables, custom visibility conditions, and attachment file link by ID. You might use these or not. Again, that will depend on your use case. So let's quickly start building this thing up, and we will start with our custom post types. Now I want to, I don't know, should I assume? Not really. Now I already have these things built, and what I'm going to do is quickly take you through each one that we have and explain a few things as we progress. So the first one is this one here for tasks. If I follow my list, yeah, that's it. It's for tasks. And now this is what I want to say. Number one, make sure your post type slug is unique. That's very important. And the best way to make it unique, in my case, I always add a prefix at the start. Yeah, you know, prefix means something that comes before the main name. Yeah, that's what I basically do. So I give it a name of my choice, but I always modify the slug. Then I will advise you to enable custom meta storage so that this post type has a custom table rather than using the default post meta, to make sure that your system is fast when it comes to serving users the content. Then that is all with the general settings. Labels, I always modify these starting with the singular name all the way down. I always do that just to make sure that it's the way I want it to be. In advanced settings, you will leave most of these things as is, and you will decide the icon to use for your menu. And in supports here, I always use the title only in most cases. I don't use the editor because anything that requires editor, I will substitute it with a WYSIWYG field if I need one. Then that's all for me. But for you, if you need anything else in this list, feel free to add it. Then now the fields that we need are just symbol fields. Now there are some things here that you should pay close attention to, especially the first three fields. So assigned to, this is a meta field that will store the assignee, then the assignee display name, and the assignee user ID. Now the first one will actually have the email address. Let me go to one of these and just open it in a new tab so that we can look at it side by side for you to understand it much better. So let me just open that. So assigned to, yep, so that is the email address. I think I should have been more explicit with this so that I could just do this, assigned to email, but I'm not changing the name ID because it will need me to change so many other places that I'm not ready to do that right now, but you get the point. Then we need the email, we also need their display name, and we also need their user ID. These are very important fields that you will see again as we go by. Then the start date, due date, and due time. These are just the way they are here on our form. So we have start date, due date, and time. So start date and due date, these are, for me, they are mandatory, but time, it's optional, so that if your task is time specific, you can do that. If it's not, if it's open, then you can leave it open like that. Now for dates, there is one important thing that you need to understand here. Make sure to enable save as timestamp. Why? Because this is important for us when we create the listings here. These listings here are very important, and they rely on that because we will want to do what? We will want to query posts by date. Okay, so do that. And the same thing for due date. Also enable save as timestamp. So these are date fields, not date time. It's just date. Then the time or the due time, it's just time, not date time or date. It's just time. And that's all for that. Then we need attachment. There are two ways you can handle the attachment. Number one, you can either allow your users to attach just one file, just one, like I think here it's one. No, this is also a repeater. You can allow them to attach just one file, or you can allow them to attach as many files. Now the reason I'm using a repeater here, it's because it's easier to work with rather than trying to let the user attach multiple files using one field. It doesn't work well with JetFormBuilder. That is something I found out to be a challenge. So it's a repeater field. And the file, you can name this as you wish, the label, the name, and the type, it's media. It's media, not gallery, it's media. Then the value format, it's media ID. Please, media ID, not URL, not ID and URL. ID is the best option because you can use these IDs to get the URL and anything else that you want to do with this. It's easier to work with it this way rather than when you try to use URL or these other options. Okay, so then we have description. This is a WYSIWYG, or you can use a text area field. It's all up to you. Now the other fields that we have down here, these are specifically for my use case. For you, you can have yours to description. Now remember I mentioned about automating stuff. This is where these fields come in handy. so that we save some specific data into these fields that we use to do other things. Now this last status update, last overdue reminder, these are just important for our cron task or rather our cron job when it runs, not to send spam emails or reminders to the user as much as it sent it once. Anyway, we will get into this more when we get to that part. Now the last thing I want to emphasize is always make sure your name or ID are unique. It's very important for you to make them unique, and make them unique to whatever you're doing, and try as much as possible actually avoid to using any names that can conflict with WordPress core itself or any other plugin that can be there. So don't just give names such as just, flat due time, or maybe just giving names like description, like that. Try to make them unique by simply adding a prefix, and that should do the trick. Okay, so that is done, and you can see this is our post type here. These are all the fields that we need. Okay, so the next one is it's not that far from this one, which is individual or personal tasks. So individual or personal tasks, and as I said, make sure the post type slug is unique, enable custom meta storage, then do all the necessary you want to do in these other areas, label and advanced field, advanced settings. Then the meta fields that we need here, it's the start date, due time, task attachment, and description. You need those 4. These other ones, as I've explained, are useful when we start working on the advanced part of this thing. Remember, the date should be saved as a timestamp so that it's easier for us to query them later on. Okay, so we are done with those 2, and the next on our list is now the CCT, custom content types. Now we need 3, so let's just go through them pretty fast. And you might be wondering, why are we using CPTs for the main tasks and CCTs for these other things? I will explain as we go by. So the first one is, let us start with assigned task, subtask. And we don't need a lot of fields here. It's just simple. Now, the name, give it the name. The slug will automatically come from the name, and here you do not have an option to edit the slug. Then make sure you just understand that the table name of your CCT, and skip everything else. Okay, just decide on the menu position and the icon, and yeah. So these other things here, you don't need to enable the REST API endpoints here. You don't need them. I only enabled them because if I want to use them, they are available, but you don't need these. We are not using these anywhere, so just leave them disabled like that. Now we only need 3 fields here: task ID, description, and attachment. Now understand there is a difference between this task ID here and item ID, which is down below here. The item ID is the ID of the CCT that will be created. The task ID here, it's the post type ID, the CPT ID of the parent task. This will be useful when we shall be dealing with some relationships to relate a subtask to a main task, so that we can know which subtask goes under which main task. That's the purpose of this. And as I said, always make sure the name IDs or the name or the IDs are unique. Okay. Then the description is a WYSIWYG, and the attachment here, the attachment in this case, I decided to just use a normal field, not a repeater field this time around. No major reason for doing that, but I just thought a subtask might maybe just need one attachment or anything like that, but feel free to use a repeater field for this as well. So those are the 3 fields that we need, and they are also the exact 3 fields that we need for the other CCT as well. So we don't need much for those. For personal subtask, it's exactly the same thing, almost the same thing. The only difference is just the namings are different, not even different. They are I just think the name or the ID, it's different here, but it's exactly the same thing. Remember, I said task ID is different from item ID. And the third CCT that we need here is for comments. So the last CCT that we need is for comments. And as I said, we just need 3 fields. Now, this comment ID, it's just similar to, the task ID. I could have also called it task ID. They serve the same purpose. This field stores the custom post type ID that will be parent to this comment. Yeah, that's it. So those are the CCTs that we need, and I hope up to that point we are all good. Now the last thing that we also need to go through very fast, it's the taxonomies, and this is also the point that I will be explaining why I decided to use CPTs for the main tasks and CCTs for subtasks and comments. Now to add a taxonomy, you need to go to JetEngine and go to taxonomies, and we are going to create, how many do we have here? We have 4. So that is for tasks, we have task status and priority, and for personal tasks the same thing. So the difference is the slugs. So let us start with task status. So you just, what you do is you hit new and you give it a name and give it a slug. Make sure the slug is unique because that's very important. Then do not forget this part, post type. So select the post type that is associated with your taxonomy. That's why you need to create the post types first before creating taxonomies. Okay, then that's all. There's nothing crazy about this. So create all the 4 or as many as your use case might require, but remember to make sure that you differentiate them by their slugs, because it's very important for you to do that. If you make them if you don't do that, then it doesn't make any sense. Now once you create them, they will automatically appear below your post types. For instance, let us move to the tasks that we have here. The tasks, so you will have them there. So we have two, priority and task status. Let us start with the status. So you will click on that, then you will have to add we call them terms to your taxonomies or tags, whichever way you want to refer to them. So you will add all these, or if you need more than this or less than this, that's entirely up to you. So overdue, pending, on hold, in progress, completed, and cancelled. Each tag or each term that you add always has a unique ID. If you hover over it like this, you can see down there we have, this is ID 33 and the post type is CRK task. Or if you click on one, if you open one, you can always check in the URL bar at the top there, and you will see the ID of your term or your tag. It's tag underscore ID. Those are usually very important when it comes to doing some stuff that we will see in a moment. Also, make sure the slug of all your terms are unique. Those are important things that you should always make sure to do. It's just a good practice, and it helps you a lot while handling things moving forward. So you do that, then you go back again to your post type and go to the other taxonomy and also add terms that you need under that taxonomy. So for priority, in my case, I have 3: high, low, medium. For you, you can have more than this, or you can just have maybe 2, high and low, or you can have high, medium, whatever way you want to do it. Make sure the slug again are unique. So we are done with those parts. We are done with those parts which are very important to our stuff. And now we will be moving forward to creating the forms. So up to that point, I think we are progressing well. So the thing that the taxonomies will help us. For instance, when I get all these, you can see the priorities are here and the status are here. So that's what that will help us with, as well as in these assigned tasks, we have the priorities and we have the status. So those are our taxonomies. You might maybe want to use something different. Maybe you might want to decide you want to use meta fields instead, but taxonomies are very flexible. Now let me explain very fast why I'm using post types for the main tasks, that is personal tasks and assigned tasks, and I'm using CCTs for subtasks. The reason I'm using CPT is because, number one, with CCT, it's a little bit complicated to create the single pages. That's one challenge with CCT. The other one is that with CCT, we do not have the privilege of using taxonomies. We can't do that. And the other thing again is that with CCTs, it's also a little bit complicated when it comes to doing some additional things within your single post. For instance, when you want to do the edits like this, you need to have a lot of workarounds for it to work, and I will show you if time will allow later on. And also there are other shortcomings that it's just not worth it for you to go that route. And the only difference that we have is that CCTs are fast, but still, if you also use the custom data tables for your CPT, it's almost the same thing. So that is the main or the major reasons why I'm using CPTs here rather than using CCTs. So CCTs facilitate these subtasks and the comments. So that's all up to that point. Okay, so let's move forward and start building the forms.